2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. Why do I feel closer to my partner after they disclose something hard? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin. What's up, Tyler?
Brannon, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just another day, another Monday. Here we are.
Back to recording again.
Back to recording. Did another week just go by? When did that happen?
Another week just went by, and I actually listened to, I think it was our most recent one on the way into work today. And for what it's worth, I don't know how it affected our listeners, but it made me laugh again.
Yeah. We might have lost a few listeners with that one.
It's possible. It's possible.
You know what I was thinking about? The story with the bunny rabbits. I was thinking about like a farm boy listening to it, being like, "You guys are pansies."
Like that's yeah, exactly. Like, hey, that's like dinner every weekend.
Yeah, and then I was thinking of like, a city kid listening to it, like, you guys are like horrible animal abuser rednecks, like. So I guess we were somewhere in between,
somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought, with that episode, as I listened, I thought, man, we should have done just an episode, like the whole episode on big stories.
That would take, we could do a series on that.
Yeah, we could do like a 4-part series on big stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hilarious stuff. Like we said, he is a legend.
He's a legend. He's a true legend.
I'm gonna formally invite Cousin Biggs on the show right now.
Yeah, we'd love to have him on.
I'd love to have Biggs on.
Yeah.
I don't know what we talk about,
We'd probably get into other stories and let him tell some stories again.
Little side note though, Biggs is one of the best fathers I've ever seen.
Oh, incredible.
Good man. And I'm glad he's my cousin. So anyways, I could go on and on about Biggs, but
hey, before we jump into the question today, Brannon, just a couple of things just for our listeners. And one is we would love your questions, and we'd love to have you come on the show, one or the other. If you're interested in getting a hold of us one way or the other, coming on the show or asking a question, therapybrothers.org. Go there and just hit the button, ask a question. And we would love to be able to talk to you. We love having real people with real problems who are willing to come on and be in the arena with us. So, secondly, we are kind of getting down into like that really kind of prime time for the signups for Rising Sun, our yearly retreat that we do for men. It's going to be September 25th through the 28th. I think we have a few slots left. But
we're talking just a little over a month away.
Yeah, it's about a month away. This is when kind of the big bulk of the final signups kind of start to happen. So if you've been sitting on the fence, we have some spots left. I'm pretty sure they will be sold out. We would love to have you come, especially if you've been thinking about it, kind of putting it off. It's worth your time if it's already on your heart.
Today's the day. Sign up.
That's risingsun.org.
Let's get you there. Bear Lake, Utah, and we also go up to Bear Lake, Idaho. So you get two states in one. Yeah. It's beautiful. If you've never been out here to the west, we go up in the Rocky Mountains and have a great time. So come on out.
All right, Brannon. Let's jump in here with the question today, and the question is one that we get a lot, and it's one that doesn't happen for everybody, but it's common enough that we get this question quite a bit.
Yeah. It is common enough, and I think it makes a lot of sense once you talk about it, but it also is confusing and can cause some problems as well. I'll tell just kind of the general story if you don't mind, Tyler.
Yeah. Paint the picture.
Paint the picture here. So, a couple's bumping along, and there's issues in the marriage. There's a lack of connection, a lack of just safety, trust going on. And the one partner is just feeling like, God, what's off? What's going on? While the other partner has some skeletons in the closet. There's some things going on. And one thing or another happens. Usually, I hate to say this, but usually they get caught. But sometimes they come out and disclose themselves. And then it's shocking. It's devastating. But in a weird way, it's also kind of it makes things make sense. Where it's like, oh, this is what's been going on behind the scenes. This is why you've been so shady, so distant, so not able to really connect to. And so there's all of these feelings. It's betrayal trauma, right? There's all of these feelings that come up. Feelings of being hurt, betrayed,
confused,
even anger, but then also like compassion sometimes for the betrayer, confused. And so there's and then all of you, like your own shame comes up of like, what part did I play in this? Am I not enough? So that there's all of that going on. There's grief about the reality of what your relationship actually is. So it's just a huge mixed pot of all kinds of emotions going on at the time of discovery. So that's kind of the picture, right?
Right.
And we're going to, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and oftentimes then people will come into our office and they'll actually acknowledge the confusion of, I just found out this thing, or my partner just told me this thing, or just had this hard conversation with me. And a part of me hates them. And the other part of me is almost like feeling more connected to them.
We've never been closer. Like that's kind of it's, in the last week or two, like we've never been closer, and we're talking more than we ever have. We're having more sex. We've never been closer. And so if you think about what's happening, that it's interesting what's happening on the betrayer's part. They've been carrying these secrets, and now it's this big relief of like, oh, like I'm not carrying these as secrets anymore.
They never had the courage, or they were in so much denial to actually come out with it until finally it does. And then they get this kind of like relief of, oh, I don't have to carry the burden anymore, even
Yeah.
though in a large part they've kind of dumped that directly on their partner's shoulders.
And the partner, on the other hand, and people respond differently. So we're just talking about this type of response. Um, but the partner, on the other hand, at times they can feel like relief, like, oh, now I know what's going on. But then also there's this sense of like, wow, my partner's now being open and honest about who they are and what's going on with them. I feel connected to them. I feel close to them. Um, and then there's also this going on in the midst of it all. I'm also scared that they're going to abandon me or hurt me. So I want to get closer to them, and bring them in closer because I'm afraid of that abandonment. And so I'm taking steps toward them. I like that they're being more open and honest. My heart is feeling more connected. Whereas the betrayer is like, oh, I feel connected too because you still like me after everything that I've done. And I talked about all these things that I thought you would hate me for, and you don't. And wow, like, but there's some problems with this, Tyler.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that's the challenge to this, and this is kind of why we want to break this down today. Is at the same time there are things that are possibly good health and true principles going on at in conjunction with things that are probably not that healthy as well.
yeah, yeah, and it can set you up a little bit.
Yeah, so we want to talk a little bit about how to decipher what's the good health part of it and what are the things you want to watch for and pay attention to and make sure that the energy with which you start to approach these kinds of situations is going to help you to move forward rather than kind of undermine you and set you back.
Yeah, exactly. To just stop and make sure that you're acting from a place of healing, not from a place of just knee jerk reaction. Um, like you said, Tyler, there's some good things going on with this, and there's some problematic things going on.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to burst anyone's bubble, right? Like,
No, no, this is just things to pay attention to if you relate to this and you experience this.
yeah, like if you're in the kind of, I'll call it that ignorant state of bliss a little bit. We're not trying to burst your bubble, but we kind of are.
Well, just yeah.
Because we want you to be healthy, and we don't want you to set yourself up for more pain down the road.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. This happened. A couple is coming to mind right now where I was working with him, and he had other kinds of like addictions that were in the open, but in the process of working with him, he kind of disclosed to me that he was also having like extramarital sexual affairs and other things that she didn't know about, and so I kind of worked through it with him and said, "Hey, man, like she needs to know this," and then I see him like 2-3 weeks later, and he comes in and he's like, I told her, and she was obviously devastated, but he's like, I can't tell you what happened, but like our marriage has never been better.
Yeah.
Like he's like, she's like way engaged with me. She's way interested in me. He's like, we have sex like crazy now. Like
Hmm.
it's never been better. And I'm like, oh, okay. What do you think's going on there? We had this discussion. And then the very next week she came in by herself and she was just like a shell, just
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
she was just like, Tyler, like, I don't know what else to do. She's like, I figured that I might as well just become what he was pursuing. And so I've just been throwing myself at him and doing anything and everything and whatever else. And she's like, I just feel like spent and empty, but I don't know what else to do. Because I'm so afraid. Like, I'm so afraid of what's going to happen to our marriage and our family. I, I don't even know if I don't even know if he even wants to stay anymore because he's got all these other things on his plate. And it's like, whoa, okay, we're totally jumping the gun right now. And in his
Look
blindness,
at the difference.
he wants it. He so badly wants it to get better because he doesn't want to pay the price for his stuff that he just like, man, yeah, she just loves that I'm honest now. And like, our marriage has never been better. And she's just eating it, like just,
Right.
getting buried by it.
The issue with this is the process of grief. Like, in order to be healthy, when something happens that is painful, you need to process grief. So when you jump to, okay, like we're just happy, everything's good,
We're going to hurry
everything
and fix it.
everything's not good. Things need to be accepted. Things need to be grieved. There's a process that needs to happen. And part of the initial knee jerk reaction is that almost denial phase of like, okay, like we're good. Just let's make sure like
We don't want to
have
have to own
consequences
everything.
and yeah. And I really like your story, Tyler, because I've seen it. I don't know how many times. And sometimes there's legit, like I call it almost like a honeymoon phase after discovery, where it lasts a month or two, and then all of the things crash down. The feelings come, and they can't help but come. And there's feelings of hopelessness and anger, and then there's feelings of like shame about betraying themselves because they got so close to them after they were betrayed. And so there's feelings of confusion and all this stuff. The feelings come. You can't live in denial forever and be a healthy person. And so I think it's a real, well, I'll use your word, Tyler, dialectic, where having those feelings of wanting to be close and having compassion for your partner can be a good thing. And the other side, what's the other side of that dialectic?
Yeah, well, yeah, if you go too far with it, then you lose yourself and your own kind of values and self-respect and all of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes that classic case of where a healthy relationship has both good individuality and good connection with each other. And a lot of times most people will sacrifice their individuality to try to keep the connection.
Right. Right.
And that's the risk on the other side of it.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing too, and here's where it gets into like what is also going on that makes it confusing is if I've been living in a relationship for so long and there's finally some level of honesty, like the principle of honesty, integrity, transparency, whatever, actually does draw us closer to the person who's doing the sharing most of the time.
Right. Because they're honest.
Yeah, because it's a true principle.
It's
So
connection.
in a certain sense, a part of me is like, oh, I've never had like this much honesty before, even though I hate what I just heard. That honesty feels better than being in the dark or being confused or feeling like I'm hitting a wall. And so I does have a tendency to, in some cases, want me to lean in a little bit more because I'm finally getting something that I didn't even know I really needed or wanted until now. But then it also gets paired up with the fear, the anxiety, the whatever else, the denial, and then that's where it gets really confusing.
Right. What are the outcomes of this, Tyler? So, like, what are some things that happen when something like this takes place?
Into the relationship or to the individuals?
Both.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple things that tend to happen. One is that if you can, this is why we're having this episode today, is if you can take the principle of integrity and honesty, transparency, whatever, taking ownership, accountability as healthy principles towards what we'd call a wholehearted life, then that discussion can be had at the same time as, and I'm not feeling good enough to lean in these other ways because of this, and this. Right.
Right. Right.
So, so that's the hard part. Cause like on the other side of it, a lot of times the one who's been keeping the secrets or doing the hiding or lying, when they finally get to be honest, they finally have this moment of honesty, whether it's forced or not, they expect to be like rewarded for it. Like, hey, look, this is what honesty gets me. Now I've got a partner who's like upset at me and frustrated, whatever. So why should I be honest? It was better if I wasn't honest. And they almost like try to manipulate their partner into not having any other feelings other than like, oh, thank you for being honest. That makes me feel so much better. But what it does is it kind of like, it'll end up pulling you together only to then kind of potentially be built on a false kind of foundation. And then it'll end up leading to more resentments and more distance and feelings of like self disrespect if you're
It
not
does
careful.
long-term damage to the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it damages the foundation even more of the relationship. The honesty doesn't,
No, the honesty's finally the thing that needed to be there all along.
but the desperation, the attachment without the reparation causes fractures in the relationship that can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
If I show up, and I say if any of us in a relationship show up just desperate to be loved and just grateful for scraps that my partner gives me and settling for those things, and then eventually realizing that I'm settling for those things and that's all that I'm getting, eventually it's going to really wear on me.
So you need to have space for the grieving to be whole and complete, right? It's like that story from childhood, probably heard it 1,000 times in church talks or whatever, of the guy who left his he was out splitting wood and he left his wedge that he used to split it in the crook of a tree and forgot about it, and then that tree just kind of grew in around it
Mhm.
and continued to grow. And then 20, 30 years later, a windstorm comes along, and what's the thing that breaks first? The
Yeah.
place where the wedge was left, even though the tree had grown around it, and it shatters and fractures the whole tree. And I think a lot of times, Brannon, we see this in the recovery process where, in an effort to try to do right by being forgiving, by leaning in, by trying to make quick reparations, we sometimes leave the processing that is necessary for a whole and complete healing behind. And then it's like years later, months or years later, all of a sudden you've got these resentments that you can't quite get your hands around or your fingers on. And they're kind of pulling you apart, or, you feel just this wall in the relationship that you can't quite get past, but it's because you put a governor on yourself to make sure you're never going to get hurt again. And
Right.
that kind of stuff.
The reality is you can't jump past the pain for healing. You just can't. And I wish there was a way. I think about, this is kind of a different, like it's part of this process, but how often have you seen where discovery happens and the betrayer's like, oh, I have no urge now to act
Yeah.
out. Like I'm
It's
done.
gone.
It's
It's
gone.
gone.
Like, it's, oh, holy cow. Like it's fixed.
I'm healed.
My partner knows about this and they still love me. And now I have no desire. Have you ever seen that just work for long term, Tyler?
On the really, really rare occasion, somebody has kind of like a, you know,
A
Saul to
change of
Paul kind
heart
of
moment.
moment, but even in those moments, most people are still going to keep their human drives and desires, and they'll still experience future, struggles, temptations,
Recovery needs to
whatever.
happen.
There needs to be a commitment to the process of the principles of recovery.
Yeah. And that's how that happens is you work through it one thing at a time and get to the root of why that addiction is there. And then start to actually heal on those deep levels long term. Not just get caught. Oh, oops, now I'm good. Everything's better.
It's actually really invalidating for a partner who's been betrayed to have the other partner come back a day or a week or a month later and always be like, and it's still gone. Like I'm healed. I'm all better. And they're like, so you kept all those secrets for that long and now all of a sudden
And
it's
you
just all
snap of the
better.
fingers, it's all
Like
good.
I don't know if I can fully trust that.
Right.
Right. Like, so if you've had that massive change of heart, then that would naturally come with a way of being and a certain set of commitments to certain kinds of principles that would naturally go along with that change of heart.
Right. Right.
Right. And it feels invalidating if it's like, yeah, well, it's all good now. And too many couples get stuck on that question of, are you still acting out? And it's like, nope, I haven't even had a drive or desire, so I'm all better now. And it's like, well, yeah. How many people do you know, Brannon, who have come in like that, and that goes for 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden they come in like 4 or 5 months later, 6 months later, and they're like, guys, I'm really struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost every time.
Yeah.
Like, I think of the three recoveries, the betrayer, the betrayed, and then the relationship. And I've actually seen it where all three in some way try to jump ahead and not go through recovery and be okay. Like I think of a client, a couple I was working with a long time ago. Very uh, very into their religion, very churchy, right? And so when and yet he was out just acting out in all kinds of ways on business trips. So he'd live a second life. He'd be this very churchy guy, at home, and he'd live this second life on the road. And um, you know, they discovery happened. He got caught, and she went to. I love Jesus. Jesus tells me to forgive. I forgive him. I forgive. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. Right? Now forgiveness is a good principle, right, Tyler?
Amen. Forgiveness is the one that takes the longest for most partners.
Yeah. And Jesus tells her to forgive, so snap of the fingers, boom, she forgave him.
Yeah.
And everything was fine. Except
except that there's kind of the action of forgiving, which is something that a lot of people don't want to take, that's actually really valuable. And then there's the heart of forgiving that goes along with the action. And when those two are paired together, that's when forgiveness starts to become kind of whole and complete. But a lot of times, and this is something that I think really does a disservice to some of our clients sometimes, is the principle of forgiveness is absolutely spot on. It's part of the healing journey. It's part of the process. It's a necessary, but too many people feel almost guilted into forgiving and not allowing themselves to recognize that it's okay to be in the process of working on forgiveness.
Yeah.
And then what it does is, in essence, is it's that wedge that gets thrown in the tree, and then I'm back to like, yep, we're all better now. And because I've forgiven him, it also means that I need to now lean all the way in the way that I should,
like a good partner would.
As a good partner. And in doing so, that's where the self-betrayal starts to happen. Because it's like I'm in the compulsion of needing to be a good person by forgiving, but my heart and my spirit isn't quite fully there yet, and now I'm betraying where I'm currently at.
Exactly. And then down the road, that tree splits.
Yeah.
So with the betrayer, the betrayed, or the relationship, all three of those, people don't want to see the painful parts of recovery, and they want to get to the good stuff. And I'm all about the good stuff, but if it's fake, if it's like not real recovery, then it's gonna, I love your analogy, Tyler. It's gonna split. It's not gonna work long term.
Yeah. So Brannon, let's talk for just a few minutes about that then. Like, what does the process then look like where you're trying to fuse the gratitude for the honesty and the feelings that come with being treated honestly, finally, the desire and need to want to forgive, while also trying to keep your own shape, or like stay true to yourself in all of that?
The thing about it is, Tyler, is there's no perfect way or example of how the process of healing takes place. So like I could give you what it would look like if I was like this perfect person that did it just right. But the reality is something as painful as betrayal brings up everything. It brings up all of your own trauma, all of your own shame, all of your own stuff. So what's the process? The process is a little bit messy. The process is not linear. It's, you 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And if you don't allow for that messiness and that struggle through that process, then you're missing out on some of the most important things. So if I were like I'll give you a ridiculous example because this isn't really reality, but let's say I got betrayed and I did not take it personal. Again, remember, this is a ridiculous example. I did not take it personal at all, right? Um, I also realized that they were probably doing the best that they possibly could with what they were working with. I had compassion for them. I didn't caretake. I didn't act out of fear. So I didn't get closer to them because I am trying to make sure they don't hurt me. I acted out of love, power, healthy boundaries, didn't take it personal, and had compassion for them. That's wonderful. And then I would let the process unfold as I sit in that space. That's wonderful. That's not reality, but
I
those
think
principles.
I think the principles, and you said the same two or three principles like three or four times there in different ways. But basically, it was I need to get to a spot where I'm not taking it personally. I'm looking inward at the things that I need for myself,
I'm
and
not
I'm
over attached, right?
I'm
That's kind
moving
of what I'm
towards
saying.
compassion for the other person, which people listening right now have been betrayed or get sick to their stomach. Some people just threw up in their mouth right now hearing that.
Which they should because they need to go through that process of healing.
Right. But those are true principles, and I would say to that, like we think of it, like you said, Brannon, so often in such a linear way. Like I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, and then I'm healing, then I'm healed.
Right.
Right. And I like the approach more of like trying to realize that this isn't linear and that there's going to be multiple things going on at the same time. So giving yourself the first thing that I would suggest is that you actually do whatever you can right after the betrayal, do whatever you can to get grounded in terms of like physically, time, place, present moment grounded, and emotionally, what do I need to do to have my head and my heart overlapping each other in what's going on right now? So that's a lot of self-care. That's a lot of physical grounding. That's a lot of like stuff before I make any other decisions just to make sure that I'm operating from the best place possible given the circumstance. And then I can start looking at principles and how they overlap, where there's this process of forgiveness, there's this gratitude for the honesty, there's this hurt and grief that I'm going to be going through. And I'm going to go and create space for all of that to happen at the same time. So I can now go to my partner and I can say something like, you know what? I am absolutely devastated by this. I don't even know what to do yet. I don't even know what decisions I can make right now. I feel gutted by this. I am grateful that it's in the open. And for whatever it's worth, I'm grateful for the honesty in a weird way, even though I've now got a bunch of work to do. And I don't necessarily want to be overly close to you physically right now until I can get my feet planted. Right. That would be more of like, okay, now I have space to go and start figuring this out rather than just being sucked back into it over and over again.
But I guess what one of the principles you're talking about here, and what I was saying too, is in those hard moments of a lot of emotions, turn inward, not outward toward your partner for your okayness and your healing. And if you can do that and love yourself first and process these emotions within yourself and get your support system going and your self-care and all of this good stuff going first, and it's about you and your healing first, that's good.
I'd say that's for sure one thing that I'm saying. And the other part that I'm saying is try to step out of an all or nothing kind of approach or perspective and allow yourself to be grateful for X, Y, and Z and not okay
in each
with
moment.
A, B, and C. And so now I can be with my partner and I can have this hard conversation from the sense of like, these are the things that I appreciate about what's going on right now. And these are the things that still need attention rather than it needing to be all or nothing. Because so many people go all the way, all or nothing, one way or the other.
Yeah. 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 I like how you describe that. That's hard to describe because you're talking about the process, the middle, I'm okay with this, I'm not okay with that. But for somebody to get that clear with that, Tyler, they need to trust themselves and be grounded themselves, like you say. Just like really know who they are so that they can be clear with what works for them and what doesn't.
That's right.
We make this sound so like confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we might have made it more confusing than helpful today, Brandon.
Yeah. I want to say if you're in that stage where maybe you're feeling closer to your partner and it feels good and you're listening to us and it's like, oh, like deep down I know we're kind of there. Um but I just would ask you to stop and just pump the brake a little bit and just get really honest with yourself about what works for you and what doesn't. Um
And when you pump the brakes, look for true principles that would either say, hey, this connection that I'm feeling is legit because there is humility, accountability, openness, transparency now, versus I'm compelled to do it because I need to be forgiving or I can't stand the thought of losing this person or whatever else. I'm operating from fear.
yeah, it's so confusing because it does feel good. I like, okay, I feel connected now and this feels good and I like this. But if it feels good because there's fear driving it behind it of I'm afraid that you're not going to choose me, then those good feelings are driving you toward that wedge that Tyler's talking about. So this is really hard to get honest with yourself with this. It's really hard to pump the brakes and be like, okay, hang on here. What is really driving my behaviors here? Am I focusing inward right now, strengthening myself, going through the grieving process, going through the recovery process with betrayal, so that we can actually take this horrific thing that's happened and strengthen the foundation of us and our relationship as a result, versus crack the foundation further because we're just acting from a place of fear.
That's right.
Tyler's been a good talk.
Yeah, hopefully it's helpful for people who find themselves in that position. Again, it's not bad if you're feeling connected. We want that. We just want to make sure the connection is based off of solid, solid ground. So thank you for being with us today. We love having you guys with us. We love your questions. We love your support. And if this is meaningful to you or to someone that you know, please share it with them. And until next time, keep on keeping on.